If willpower was enough, we'd all be perfectly productive, eat healthily, and never procrastinate. So why isn't that how it works? Welcome to Thrive with Dr. Liz, where we hack the spaces around us to unlock success. Let's dive in. Have you ever set a goal for yourself, something like, I'm going to wake up early and work out every day? And the moment you made that decision, you were so motivated. You laid out your gym clothes, set your alarm, and told yourself, this time I'm really doing it. Then morning rolls around and suddenly your brain starts negotiating. Maybe I'll go later. Maybe I'll start tomorrow. Maybe I don't really need to go every day. And before you know it, you're snoozing your alarm, convincing yourself that rest is important too. And the workout, not happening. So now, does this mean you're lazy? That you lack discipline? That you just don't have enough willpower? Yes and no. It does just mean you're human. And this doesn't apply to personal goals alone, like working out or eating more healthily. It happens in workplaces too, in leadership, in how we structure teams and organizations. People naturally do actually want to do great work. They do want to contribute. They want to grow. But if the space they're in is constantly working against them, their best intentions don't stand a chance. That's why actually I get quite frustrated when people talk about success as if it's just a matter of trying harder. If effort and motivation were enough, workplaces would be more productive, teams would be more engaged, and leaders would never have to deal with burnout, procrastination, or high turnover of their employees. But that's just not reality. That's not how it all works, because effort isn't really the problem. It's not at the cause of it. The problem is that people are constantly battling the hidden forces in their environment that shape their decisions. The problem is that people are so constantly battling the hidden forces in their environment that shape their decisions and ability to act. And if you don't understand those forces, whether you're an individual trying to stay on track or a leader trying to get the best out of your team, you'll keep thinking the problem is personal when honestly, it's actually highly likely to be structural. So today we're going to talk about how to stack the deck in your favor, how to use what we know from behavioral science and behavioral economics to make it easier for people to succeed, whether that's for yourself, for your team, or for your entire organization. Because the truth is, successful people and high-performing teams don't just have more discipline, they have fewer obstacles in their way. Let's start with a big one, default behaviors. Most of the decisions you make in a day, you don't actually think about them. They're automatic. You wake up and check your phone, you grab the same coffee order, you take the same route to work. And that's because your brain is wired to conserve energy. So whenever possible, it takes shortcuts. It defaults to whatever's easiest, whatever's habitual, because it's right in front of you. When we know this, we can apply something called choice architecture to influence the easiest option for people. We make the most of the idea that the way a decision is presented influences what people choose. Now let's apply this to some more work examples. If meetings don't have clear agendas, people default to showing up unprepared. If employees have to ask for feedback, instead of receiving it as a normal part of work, most won't ask. If leaders don't make inclusion a built-in part of decision-making, it gets deprioritized. In short, if you want people to do something, make it the default. For individuals, that might mean rearranging your environment so the good choices are the easiest ones. For leaders, that might mean structuring processes so the behaviors you want, it could be collaboration, innovation, accountability. Just make sure that it doesn't require extra effort. Now let's talk about another one. It's a big one, friction. Friction is anything that makes a behavior harder to do. And the more friction there is, the less likely people are to do something, even if they want to. So ever notice how gym memberships work? They love people who sign up and never go. And part of the reason people don't go, it's not just laziness, it's friction. Getting up early, packing a gym bag, driving there, finding parking, fitting it in around responsibilities. All of those tiny barriers add up, and suddenly skipping the gym is easier than actually going. So let's apply this to work. If an organization makes it hard for employees to access the tools and information they need, they then end up wasting time searching instead of producing, or don't bother searching at all and do the task without the information and tools they need. If team members have to jump through hoops to get approval for a decision, well, they'll stop taking initiative. If performance reviews are so complicated that managers avoid doing them, employees don't get feedback. When friction builds up in a workplace, it doesn't just slow people down, it kills engagement, drains energy, and makes high performance feel impossible. So, if you want to break a bad habit or make new, better habits, we add in choice architectures to work in your favor instead of against it. Want to stop scrolling at night? Move your charger across the room so you can't grab your phone in bed. Want to stop checking email every 30 seconds? Log out. So that reopening it takes extra effort. Want to make healthier food choices? Put the snacks on the highest shelf and prep healthy food in advance so it's the easiest option when you're hungry. Or just don't buy it at all in the first place, so you have to get in the car and drive out and get it when you're craving it. And this isn't just about personal habits. It's just as powerful in the workplace. If you're a leader, look at where friction is making work harder than it needs to be. Are your employees spending more time navigating bureaucratic approval processes than actually doing their jobs? Cut unnecessary layers of approval. Are meetings dragging on without decisions? Well, use a structured agenda and time limit so discussions stay focused. Is your team avoiding giving each other feedback? Well, make it a part of regular check-ins instead of once a year, in that horrible high-pressure review. If you want people to be more productive, more engaged, and more successful, remove the roadblocks. Make the best behaviors the easiest to do. Design systems that fuel success instead of making it harder. Because high performance isn't just about willpower, it's about removing the friction that slows people down and adding the fuel that drives them forward. Now, here's another game changer: commitment devices. Commitment devices are ways to lock in a decision ahead of time. So the future you or your team doesn't have a choice. Let's think of an example. I'm sure you've heard this. Some people freeze their credit cards in a block of ice so they literally can't impulse buy. Others prepay for a personal trainer so they have to show up. At work, commitment devices might look like scheduling work sprints where everyone focuses without distractions, or publicly committing to a deadline so accountability kicks in. Building in regular check-ins so progress doesn't get derailed. One of the best real-world examples comes from behavioral economist Richard Thaler, who designed a retirement savings program called Save More Tomorrow. Instead of asking employees to save right now, which feels like a sacrifice, like you've got to give up something, they let them commit to saving a portion of their future raises and bonuses. So that's money that they haven't yet earned. And the result of that, people saved way more money, not because they suddenly got more disciplined, but because they removed the pain of making the decision in the moment. And this is the key. Because the biggest reason people fail at good habits or organizations fail at good initiatives, they make decisions in the moment when motivation is low, distractions are high, and the easy choice ends up being the wrong one. But if you set up commitment devices in advance, you don't have to rely on willpower alone. If you book a workout class, you're more likely to go. If you schedule one-on-one feedback conversations, they actually happen. If you design your hiring process to include diverse perspectives by default, you won't have to remember to do it. Success, whether personal or organizational, isn't about working harder. It's about removing the things that make success harder. So if you feel like you or your team are constantly struggling to stay on track, stop blaming willpower Instead, ask, what are our default behaviors and how can we change them? Where do we need more friction or less? How can we set up commitment devices to make the right choices automatic? Because once you start stacking the deck in your favor, success stops feeling like a fight or a challenge. And if that feels like cheating, well, I did promise Thrive with Dr. Liz is where we hack the spaces around us to unlock success.